guys! Before I get into the contents of today's video, please remember to like, subscribe, and comment with any critiques, questions, or suggestions. In today's video, we're going to be doing the Colorblind Art Challenge. I've been seeing this challenge going around on various social medias, so I thought I would give it a try. With that said, let's jump right in. The first step was creating something to color. I wanted to keep it simple since the main point of this was the coloring, and I was also a little bit behind on when I actually started making this video. I tried a few different ideas and scrolled through Pinterest, but really nothing felt inspiring. Then I remembered my sketchbook, and in particular, this sketch of a pose study that I thought would work perfect for this piece. This sketch is of my character May, and it was a pose that I found on Pinterest. If you don't know, my full-time job is a martial arts teacher, so this pose was right up my alley. My job is also another reason that I wanted to keep the videos simple this week. I have a lot going on, so I just don't have the time or energy to create a lot of art. To be honest, I felt kind of guilty about that at first. I considered just giving myself another week to create this video so that I could have more art in it, but I realized that not everything has to be such a huge project. Art takes a lot of time. Even this simple art piece took me several hours to complete from start to finish, and that's not including the original sketch that I traced from my sketchbook. I often put a lot of pressure on myself to have every video be this super amazing, inspired creation, but sometimes I need to remember that I just need to relax and do something fun, silly, or simple. Once I traced over the original sketch, I went in with the line art. I try to add variety to my line art by keeping the pressure sensitivity high, and I try to make it more interesting by using a textured brush, but honestly, I feel like my line art style isn't exactly what I want. If you have any tips on how to make your line art more interesting and natural, let me know. For backgrounds, I like to make the line art thinner and a different color, so that way it's softer. It's just another way to help your eye stay focused on the character. Once I had the line art set, I had to create that little palette everyone uses for this trend. You basically just take a bunch of dots of different colors and then place them all over the place in a circle. I picked very random colors because I really didn't want there to be any way for me to know which color I was using. Once you're done, you just swirl them up, and I genuinely had no clue how to do this, so I was just picking random brushes, and I ended up having to Google how to do it. In Clip Studio Paint, which is the drawing software that I use, you select the area you want to swirl, you go to the filters option at the top, click distort, and then click swirl. This color palette I swirled is a little bit different because I wasn't really happy with the first one, so I tried again with a more limited color palette. In hindsight, I probably should have chosen even more limited colors, but I really did want the selections to be truly random. Now that everything was set up, I turned my tablet to grayscale mode and began coloring. Since this is my original character, she already has a color palette, but I had no way to know if I was choosing those colors, so I just focused on getting the values of her design right. Her hair is black, so I grabbed the darkest color I could find in the palette, and then I also used that for the belt. At first, I was going to try for a white gi like the reference picture, but my dojo doesn't really use white gis, so I decided to try and go for a black one. If you don't know what a gi is, it's just the uniform that martial artists wear. I was worried that this wasn't going to create enough contrast within the character, but with her skin being on the lighter side, I do think that it worked out. Because I used mostly darker colors for the character, I used lighter colors for the background. This helps create that contrast I was looking for and make the character pop out. The most difficult part of this was definitely the shading. I wanted to stick to my usual shading style and flow, but not being able to see and easily re-access the colors I was using made it kind of annoying. I had to make sure that I was completely done with a color before I switched, because even with the color history tab, it was hard to be 100% sure that I was clicking on the same color again. I decided to go for a fun, dramatic lighting with the light coming from behind her. I thought this would just make the overall piece more interesting. To do this, I filled the whole character with that dark color on a layer set to multiply and then erased around the edges of the character. I repeat the same process later for the punching bags in the background. While I was shading the face, I realized that I forgot to add in her makeup. I added in blush by selecting the skin color and then messing with it a bit on the slider. That way I didn't end up selecting a completely different color from the skin. Then I selected a random color to add her eyeshadow. One thing I realized pretty quickly was that it became a lot more difficult than I thought it would be to know what opacity to make each layer when I couldn't see the exact color that I was working with. I didn't expect that to be the case, but it honestly did throw my shading off quite a bit. For the light source, I just picked a lighter color on my palette and used it on a layer set to add. Once I was happy with the shading, I went in with my usual finishing details. I blurred the background, added in some faint floating circle effects to the foreground, cropped the image in a bit, and then turned it slightly to the left to add some interest. Here it is in the grayscale. I think the values are pretty good. Probably could have pushed the shading a bit more, but like I said, it was hard to judge the shading in the grayscale. And here are the final results. Let me know what you guys think. A lot of blue. At least I got the hair and the belt right. I actually really like the hair. The purple punching bags are kind of hurting my eyes. This is definitely not how I expected it to turn out. What do you guys think? Thank you guys so much for watching. As usual, I have no idea what the next video is going to be or when it is going to come out, but whatever it is and whenever it does, I hope to see you then. Bye!